up, though, Detroit? Hello, world. Welcome again for another episode of Detroit ByCycle. With us today, as always, every week, we want to welcome Mr. Bobby Brown.
What's up, Henry?
Hey. And Bruno.
Hey, what's up, guys, man?
What's up, Bruno?
It's good to see you guys, man. I'm all excited about today's show.
And you
Yes,
know,
sir.
for sure. You know what, too? I mean, also, one more time for Substance.
Oh, yeah, give it out.
The
Yeah.
beats are
now.
fire.
Yeah.
All the time.
For real. Love it. Thank you, Substance. Right. On today's show, we're continuing the flavor that this bike life has cultivated, and it builds from the ground up. And with all the group rides that are going on, slow roll as we discussed on our last episode, bike clubs have dawned and spawned and are flourishing around Detroit.
Right. It's real grassroots. You know,
yeah.
the clubs are really grassroots, you know.
Absolutely. And we're starting a series out here at Detroit ByCycle where we will be bringing on club presidents and members to discuss their history, what they're about, what they do, and how they do what they do. To start things off, I think it's most appropriate that we begin with the bike club president, Mr. Big Mike, president of the world-renowned
That's right, man.
For sure. World infamous.
Bikes and Murder. Mike, Big Mike, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Brothers.
Yes.
Let's put that out there.
Yeah,
Mike,
it's the fam club.
Yeah, this is our club, guys.
Right.
This is our club
Full
president.
disclosure.
Yeah, full disclosure.
disclosure.
Yeah.
So
Let them know.
we're starting out with, what we think is
Right.
most necessary.
Right.
Well,
So,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes. So, Big Mike, thanks again for joining us. Please give us a little history of this thing we call Bikes and Murder. Tell us about yourself and about this bike life that we're involved with.
Word. Well, my introduction into Bikes and Murder was I was working at Ferrand's back then. It wasn't even Grand Trunk Pub. I was working there. I was doing the door, and this kid kept coming in with dreadlocks, and he's always talking mad shit, cocky as shit, and he made me laugh. And then one day he came in and he was selling the shirt that you have on, as a matter of fact.
Nice.
And he said, "This is the shit I'm working on, man. I think you should be down with it." And at that time, I mean, the way I got the name Big Mike is because at that time I was about 360 pounds. I was not riding a bicycle. I was far from bicycle. I was on a quad. I was driving a big Chevy truck. The farthest thing from my mind was what bicycle.
Right.
But the Barada 92F on the end intrigued me. And that the kid made me laugh. That was enough for me to cop the shirt. I ended up meeting all of his homies. And they weren't even a bike club yet. They were just selling shirts, trying to put something together, trying to do something. But I was with the movement. Bought a few shirts. They didn't even make any of my size, but I copped them, gave them to friends and whatnot. Fast forward a few months later, I started having some health issues, and I quit driving altogether. I ended up moving. All kinds of situations happened. I moved into the city, and I was stepping everywhere. And I got tired of that shit real quick. Not even real quick, but like I was in a situation. Sometimes we get in these situations, and you do what you got to do. And walking was what I had to do.
Right.
And I was working for some friends of ours, the Detroit Hustle Harder boys.
What up?
And,
Shout out to them.
Shout out to JP and Brendan.
Yeah.
Wasn't for JP, I probably wouldn't be riding a bike today. But I was getting ready to walk home one day, and it finally warmed up enough, and he said, "Why don't you take this dyno?" And it was a dyno with the blades on it. And I was like, run it.
Yeah, I'll get on that. Yeah, I'll get on that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Jumped on that joint. And next thing I know, I ran into my homie. He was like, "Hey, man, remember your old Haro?" I was like, "Yeah, I do. I had a dope-ass old Haro. 90s model Haro." I was like, "Yeah, I do." He's like, "I got it at the crib. You want it?"
What?
I was like, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah, it's been sitting here all these years."
Wow.
I was like, "Yeah, run it." He's like, "Yeah, I'm coming to Detroit to a ball game. I was like, started riding that. And then ran into Jay again. He's like, man, you need to come out. Our homeboy Skip became a member. And he's like, man, you need to get down with this. I'm like, I'm on this 20-inch, man. I don't know. They were all on road bikes. And next thing you know, somebody owed me some money. I finagled a little road bike situation. And
Big Mike style. I do. That's why we're all laughing right now, Mike.
And, because I wasn't the fastest, and that really pissed me off. Like, I kept getting tore up at everything we did. I was going to this ride the slow. I could never get it right. I'm dyslexic as hell. It was a slow ride, slow something. And it was their weekly club ride. And I went to one and just got my ass handed to me. Because it wasn't nothing slow that I could see.
You got dropped.
Yeah, not when he was on. I didn't get dropped, but like I had to keep figuring out where they're at and cutting through shit and jumping over shit. And then I dropped myself. I was like, there's a bar I know. I'm gonna stop and get a soda and something to drink or eat. Ran up to him later. But I got this road bike. I started riding with him, and then the next thing I know, I just looked on the computer one day and it said that I worked for Slow Roll. Facebook told me I worked for Slow Roll. Or I worked for Bikes and Murder. And I was like, oh, wow. So I called him up. I was like, yo, man, what's this? He was like, you don't want to be a member? I was like, yeah. He was like, all right, you're a new member. And I was like, all right. So at that time, it was me, Skip, him and McCool. And I asked him at that time, I was like, what's this all about? What's the Bikes and Murder about? And he said, well, me and McCool was chilling on the couch one day, and we didn't have jobs, really. We didn't have much to do. We looked at one, looked at the other, and said, hey, man, don't really matter much to me, but playing this video game, they play Call of Duty or something back then with the zombies killing them.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, I ain't really much of a video game player, but he said, I don't really need nothing but my bike and killing these zombies. And McCool looked at Jay and said, yeah, man, Bikes and Murder, man. That's all we need. And that was how it started. So, and I said, so what's it about? And he's like, man, we just ride bikes and chill with like-minded people, listen to music, smoke some trees, drink if you want to drink. And we ride our bikes on Mondays. I'm like, bet, I'm down. And that was the first summer of Slow Rolls. And, a lot of people don't realize that the Slow Roll was started. It was a way just to get out there.
It was a club ride.
Yeah. It was a club ride that we rode to our homeboys, night. He had a night over at Woodbridge Pub. Erno the Inferno, who was I don't know, quasi member somewhere in there, real tight, and definitely down. Slow jams, yeah, Slow Roll to Slow jams.
Yeah.
And that first summer we didn't get many people, but that was what it was. But if it wasn't for Slow Roll, Bikes and Murder wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for Slow Roll. Slow Roll wouldn't be if it wasn't for Bikes and Murder.
Right.
I mean, because maybe I would have met y'all in life had it not been for Bikes and Murder and Slow Roll.
Right.
But we never would have been as tight.
Yeah, we wouldn't have grooved the same way. The vibe would have been different.
Yeah.
We would have been individual vibes instead of like this.
Right.
This,
and there's a good chance that, I don't know that all of us would have clicked if we didn't have that,
Right.
If we didn't have the hub.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
And that's how I've always felt like this thing is a hub. There's been a couple presidents now, and I'm honored to be the president,
We're it's going on 9th year now?
Yep. 2010.
2010 is
September
established.
20th.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's September 20th, 2010. And, I met all you guys on Slow Roll. No, actually, nah. I mean, I met you on Slow Roll.
Yeah.
The other anniversary of us messing around for the first time, you broke your
My pedal.
first crank arm.
My first one, right.
Yeah, your first one.
He was dead out here. Just as a PSA, he was not left for dead. Not left for dead on that pedal.
As a matter of fact, just happened to be Big Mike, Jay, and
Danny Masterson.
Dan Masterson just were catching up the tail end. and they seen me just sitting there holding the pedal in one hand and hold my bike in the other. Everybody stopped. I think you sourced a bike cable. Next thing you know, I was being told from Southwest back to the beginning of the ride. But luckily, I had a friend who was halfway, so I had a safe spot to go to. But man, it would have been the whole way back, I'm sure, if it need be. So right then, I knew what I was dealing with. So
That's what's up.
that was
And
much
then
respect right there.
Bobby was the first fool on the ride. I used to call him the bow tie cat. 'Cause one time he showed up with a bow tie on, riding the red Pee Wee Herman joint. But he had music. He was the
sound.
first one to bring sound.
First
First one
one,
I
yeah.
ever seen. Other than JP.
Okay, yeah.
But
yeah.
JP used to just, when we be riding around, he would have a little transistor, not transistor radio, but like a little battery operated radio.
Right.
But he'd be listening to Tiger Game and shit
Right,
like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But not no tunes.
And not no baby making jams like that.
I mean, we got Barry White coming out over here. You know?
Bobby will have somebody going home pregnant. in his turn.
I mean, so we'll get you later.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey.
That's it.
Man.
You know.
Yep.
So then I met my man's over here. I met Bruno. His fool ass. We were at Ballycork, or what the hell? Nah, it was what did it change into?
Well,
Lady of the House.
Yeah, it was Cece's.
Cece's at the time.
Right, but we had already met on a slow roll before that.
Yeah, but we hadn't really talked.
Right. You just told me to slow down and act like I had some sense.
Right. That was what I did.
That would not be the first time. Yeah, and then we went to we met at Cece's because they were having a ride out of Cece's.
Yeah, I was taking people over to kickball.
Yeah, we were going over to kickball,
Yeah.
and that was awesome. Yeah, that was cool.
You know, and slow roll was just one thing we did back in the day.
Yeah.
It was just like, so back to summer of 2011, we would, our week started Sunday morning. We met in the market at 10 o'clock, all the members, me, Skip, Mike, Jay, Chris K, and Martin would meet, and we would take tours from the Red Bull House of Art of the Detroit Beautification Project. And, graffiti, street art's a passion of mine. I mean, I've spent many, many, many hours doing things that we won't talk about, and I love that. And it was a way for me to deal with something that I loved, and bikes, which is what this whole thing has always been about.
Yeah.
And, I came to the guys with the idea and was like, yo, can we do this? And they're like, you're crazy. Nobody's ever going to want to ride around in the hood. Like, you guys are fools where you guys go. And I'm like, man, nah, people want to see this shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got these friends. And then, I get working with Matt Eaton over at Red Bull House of Art and with Jay and whatnot, and making the connections that we made. We just had a fun time. So that was Sunday morning. It was like a 14-mile ride, which I met a bunch of friends on. Katie Marinelli, the German girls. That was a whole nother issue. That's a whole nother situation. That's 2 shows.
Well, they were twins, so it's cool.
6 of them, dog.
Okay.
Whoa. And then that was the beginning of slow. That was how slow roll kicked off. That's another story in of itself. So we had that Sunday morning, and then Sunday evening we did the movie.
Oh yeah.
And then Monday we had slow roll, and then Tuesday me and Derek had a fast ass ride that we did, and then Wednesday we had something. I can't remember what we did. Thursday we had a fast ride out to Ferndale. We go to the Ferndale bike shop.
All right.
Ride out there is a sprint from Woodbridge Pub to Ferndale, and whoever got there the first just talked mad shit.
Because you could.
Because you could.
right?
Right.
I mean, we were riders. Like, we rode. It was nothing to do 50, 60 miles in a day, 70 miles in a day, every day, just for no reason, like, because we could.
Right.
And then Friday and Saturdays we didn't do much, but I mean, you got to think that's a lot of activity.
Yeah.
And we would pick up now on Saturdays and Sundays. We didn't have a weekly plan thing, but we would pick up, help this tour, help the tour de Ford, help this, help that.
Nice.
And that was what we did. And then we met all you guys. And I think, what was that, the summer of 2012 that you all became pros?
Yeah, 2012.
It's St. Andrews Hall.
Yes.
Upstairs at St. Andrews Hall. We all got patched in.
Yes, sir.
That was wild. That was wild.
So as a club now, moving forward, now we have 18. Well, there's
16
and
and a probie.
and a pro,
Right.
so 17 currently.
It's a new season coming
It's a
up.
new season,
so-
so the
Right.
other.
Come hit us up, man.
Yeah. So in club life, in bike life, what do you think some of the benefits are with being members with Bikes and Murder and a general club life atmosphere?
I know I will and can only speak on Bikes and Murder.
Sure.
I would be doing it just justice to any other club to try to assume what they have going on. I can only see what they have going on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what that is. But I know, speaking from our club, like, I mean, I can't even put into words the where I'm at because of the club. Like, I wouldn't. Real talk, I don't know that I'd be here.
Mm.
You know, I got a lot of demons, and y'all help me keep my head straight and give me a reason to make sure that I don't fuck with said demons.
Right.
You know, so there's that. And then, I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of support.
yeah,
with,
you
with
guys
the
are
members.
truly my brothers.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like I wrestled. And that's the closest. I wrestled my whole life. I played baseball. I played football. I've done a lot of stuff. Had teams of people where we were watching each other's backs for whatever reason. But I don't ever feel like I've been as close to any of those in those situations to as many people in that situation as I do here.
Yeah.
I mean, because there may be you around the table or in the club that annoy me more than others on a regular basis. Because
Hey, man, let's try and leave Bobby out of this.
yeah.
The other B.
But that's family.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
I mean, if there ain't something going on, then there's something going
On.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So you've got that. Just think, I got 16 brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as an only child, that means a lot.
And I'm an only child as well,
Right.
so I ain't never had no brothers and sisters at all.
Yeah.
And now to know that, like, it was my daughter's quinceañera this weekend,
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going down to my ex-in-law's town, way in the middle of some cornfields in the middle of nowhere. Got my brown ass out there, and I'm like, yo, and the next thing I know, I got a whole table full of family. You know what I mean? I got member on member on member on member.
Right.
Yep.
And that's what my daughter knows. So that's another thing. Like, my daughter only knows that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Watch
Uncle
her grow
Bruno.
up,
It's
right.
Uncle Henry. It's
Right.
Uncle Bobby. She don't know nothing to say anything but that.
Yeah.
And talk shit like, well, when I'm the president of Bikes and Murder.
Right. Right.
So it's a generational thing. I mean, all the thing and think of the things that we've done for the community. This patch got me on the floor of the Senate, the state house, or
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I can't begin to put into words all the things.
And it's
the doors
just
it's opened.
beginning too. I mean, there's so much coming down the top.
I mean, last year we went to Vegas in 2016 let's go back 2012, 13. We went to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For the Red Bull Art of the Can.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah,
That was
a good
amazing.
time.
That was
That was
amazing.
wild.
We corked.
We
corked
Chicago.
Michigan Ave.
Michigan,
Chi-town.
Jefferson
in
Ave.
Chi-town.
Right downtown.
Right downtown. Shut that shit down.
Yeah.
Nobody had ever seen shit like that before.
No, that was
And
wild.
that's something else I can say about Bikes and Murder. There is not a club out here. I'll put this on. I'll say this. There ain't a club out there that can run an organized, large ride like us, because there ain't nobody that has done it consistently
for years.
as many weeks and as many years as this crew.
And our style has evolved.
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah.
our style has evolved. So
We've all learned
styles
so
in
much.
bikes, styles in riding,
Yes.
styles in the way we run a ride.
right.
You know, when we first started this, it was beast up and just, this is my corner.
Yeah.
Get out. What's up? And then, you know, we beat your head against the wall long enough. You like, well, I'll be nice to these people.
Yeah.
Stop some shit.
Right.
Yeah,
It only takes us a couple seconds to catch up on the bicycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
That was,
And take those shortcuts that we know because we ride.
Yep.
And I think that was implementation that you actually started, the structure behind all that. I think combination with you as well, Bruno. But you know, the blueprint was laid on how to manage all these people and all the individuals that are working and do it efficiently and effectively. And I can't tell you, man, how many people that have told me on rides, oh man, I see what you guys are doing, and I was very impressed. I mean, I have to say thank you, you know, because when you apply technique and it's working, it looks fantastic.
Oh yes, sir.
Sometimes it appears effortless.
It does.
It's really, you know.
Yeah.
See, sorry.
I mean, when you're herding, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 people, you know what I mean, and you're not freaking out and stressed out and all that stuff, it does appear to be a lot easier than it really is.
Yeah.
So
And the growing pains,
Right.
you know, were handled efficiently, and I think, I mean, that says enough in and of itself of the organization right there.
So I have a background in crowd control.
Oh, there you go.
That was where it all came from. We were sitting around at McShane's one day, and I looked, and we had 150 people. And this is back when it was Slow Roll, brought to you by Bikes and Murder. And we was all sitting there, and I looked over at Jay and Mike, and I was like, what are we going to do when we get a rack? When we get 1,000 people? What are you guys going to do? And they're like, shut up. We ain't never going to get 1,000 people. I was like, but what are we going to do if we do? And they're like, well, you come up with that contingency.
There you go.
right, because you were at that time they thought you were talking about fantasies.
Yeah, they were talking about.
You know what I mean? Like, if you want to dwell on that, that's
Right,
cool.
right. Go right
But,
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Have at that.
So I literally went home that night, and I was living on the 17th floor of Cadillac Square building, and I sat on my radiator with my feet hanging out, because we didn't have no patios, but I sat with my feet hanging out the window with my sketch pad, just drawing intersections and how would I control situations. If these were people,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
if I had to stop this many people here, here, and here, how would I do it with this many people that I have?
Right. Yeah. And we became real proficient at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I got the 1 spot, you got the 2 spot, and we were, you know, it was well organized.
And how many are in slow run now? Sorry to butt in.
Oh,
Anywhere
hey,
between-
Ryan, what's going on, man?
Hey, shout out to Ryan, bro.
Yeah.
I've been in a few of these, and just hearing this like backstory, I just had to like, I'm like, I think I know, but just I want to hear the number of how
Anywhere
many are
between
in
4 and 7 racks, I would say.
Yeah.
4 and 7,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big number from what you
Yeah.
just first started.
Well, I mean,
on.
it's not people standing next to each other; it's
They're
bikes.
bikes.
So
yeah,
they
that's
take up more
that's-
space. You're
that's
talking
like
about
2 people each.
It's
Yeah.
miles long.
It's miles
Yeah.
long.
Real talk.
Yeah,
That's cool stuff.
yeah, it's really cool.
So the way, I mean, what real talk, what made us all be what we were was out of necessity. Like
Yeah. You had to figure out how to do it.
I had 5 guys, and I was trying to stop. By this time, we had 200-300 people by the time I started reaching out to people. And I had 5 or 6 guys, and that was it. And we stopped traffic with the 5 or 6 guys. And the way we used to do it was you would ride in front of the ride and then stop and then catch up.
Right.
And there started being too many people. You know, you get 500-600 people. Now it's too much of a sprint for me to catch the next light. So then we started to have to take shortcuts to get from.
Oh yeah. That's when the game started.
Yeah. Because you would talk shit if another crew, like another Corker crew, you had to cover their spot or they missed an intersection.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were gonna pay when we got back.
Yeah.
You were gonna get clowned on.
But and so then I started having to reach out and find people. extra corkers. Marshalls we were at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Never liked that snitch ass name, but that's what it is. But then I reached out to individually. You know, I'd see somebody, and if they had a bike and they carried themselves in a manner which I thought they could hang. And Henry was one of the first ones, and then Bruno, Bobby, other than people that were actually club members. Brian Lacey back in the day, the artist Brian Lacey.
Yeah.
If you guys ever do bikes and art in the city, there's one to go to.
All right.
And you know, that's is really how it built. And you know, I was afraid at one point that Slow Roll was going to eat up Bikes and Murder. Not eat it up, but it was just going to get lost in the shuffle. And there were only 5 votes on the table. And I got worried. I really did. And I'm like, this thing saved me and brought me out of a really bad funk that I probably wasn't going to get out of. And I needed this. And I can't let it go away, because what if this is going to do the same for somebody else somewhere else?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's when I started reaching out to you guys, and like, they were all the 2 guys. I say they, and they're the 2 guys above me. I was a sergeant at arms, they were president, vice president, but they were so busy with Slow Roll and this commercial coming up. We was about to be in this Apple commercial. And I just said, you know, can I get some probies together so we can, and they're like, yeah, man, whatever. If it'll shut you up and get you the hell away from us, because what your job is to make sure that the cars are stopped. That's your job.
Yeah, how you do that is
how
up to
you
you.
do it is however you do
Right.
it. And I'm like, you know, but I'm going to need team captains, and these captains need to know that there's something else other than just Slow Roll squad. So I need to, and they, well, whatever you guys need. Well, I was building like-minded people to do something bigger than just squad someday. And, you know, there's people that we've left the squad. Some of us left, you know, I retired. But I clearly didn't retire from this.
Right. The story about the club being a salvation, or you know, a place of refuge for you emotionally and physically, I think that story resonates with all of us. To be honest, I mean, we were all in something. You know what I mean? And it,
Brother
like,
Skinny. I mean,
like
come on.
for real, man. Like when the club couldn't have come at a better time in my life either. You know what I mean? Like, I was having all kinds of like unhealthy thoughts in my head, you know.
Me too.
And I needed.
I was in a dark place.
Yeah, real
I wasn't
dark.
good.
Yeah, I was dancing with my devils. You know what I mean? I was picking the records. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was not good. And I, like you said, man, I found brothers.
Right.
I mean, we're not the same.
No.
That's the coolest
That's
thing
the
about it.
coolest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we
We're
look like
all
we
so goddamn.
look like an Applebee's commercial and shit.
United Color of Benetton.
Yeah, the United Color without the sweaters.
Right.
No, for real.
Well, I mean, Jackson will wear a sweater, probably. That cable knit joint.
Hey, but we all from different
Right.
hookups,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And we
different hoods
ride
and-
different bikes
Yeah.
and different styles and flavors and all that stuff. It's just an amazing thing,
Yeah.
man. So I appreciate all y'all for that. And thank you, Mike.
For sure.
We got
For
DC.
sure.
We got Molly out in DC.
Right?
Yeah, we
Right.
did DC last summer.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah.
All of us.
All of us.
The whole
The
club.
whole club.
Plus some.
Plus,
Yeah.
yes.
Hey, we
yes.
drove-
Plus probies.
Yeah.
Nope.
Possible.
Hey, we drove down like the Clampets, man. We had those bikes. We had like 20 bikes stacked in the like
Shout out to Van Hoosen.
Right.
Brother Van Hoosen.
Right.
yeah,
packing expert.
we had grandma on
Them Harbor Freight straps held tight, baby.
Yeah, that was wild, man.
So speaking of trips, I mean, we've done a couple, and I mean, we're always planning. What, that's a collectively a great club thing. What would you suggest people do as a group to get that family bond and get those feelings of camaraderie and trusting each other and appreciation?
Man, I don't know. That's a hard thing to say. That's a hard thing to do because, like, I think that the strongest brotherhoods and bonds are built on stressful situations. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, what I see, and I'm not going to throw anybody, let's say nothing, but what I see is a lot of people trying to create something because they really like the idea of what somebody else is doing and the way it look and how it's cool.
yeah.
Trying to
this and
emulate.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying to emulate things because that's what happens. I mean, we're talking about a bike culture here in this city that went from when Bikes and Murder started, there were, that I know of, 3 active bicycle clubs at the time. There were the Suicide Squad, which was another club somewhat like us,
Yeah.
fast bikes. I mean, the name says it all
Right.
in and of itself.
Various
They like to-
members.
Yeah, various members that like to play in traffic, kind of like we did. And then you had Grown Men on Bikes,
G-Mob.
G-Mob.
Shout out G-Mob.
and that who was the first ones to actually have a patch that I know of. Now there are some things that might have happened back years
Right.
prior to me, but in the 2010 era, that was it. And then you had the East Side Riders, King Wayne.
Oh, yeah.
And that was it that I knew of. And we were a club. We didn't have a patch yet. We weren't even doing that. I mean,
We had shirts out.
we had shirts, we had
merch,
hoodies, we
right,
had
Yeah.
mad merch.
right.
I mean,
Stickers, slaps.
we were the first ones to go on the merch game in the club world, really prior. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy right now how many clubs there are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they pop up like
I want to say the last count that Todd told me was like 78 or something.
In the city?
Yeah. In the
Metro.
greater metro area.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Because you got Pontiac Light
Oh, yeah.
Riders, you
Right.
got some Taylor Chain
Yeah.
Gang, and
Right,
shit.
there's-
I don't know.
Southwest.
Right.
Yep.
I don't even know them all. Man.
Concrete.
right.
Oh,
There's no
yeah.
way you can keep track because they, you know, and they evolve or
Dissolve.
Dissolve, break off, splinter off,
Right.
and see that's the thing that I'm saying is you're asking how to do it, and I don't know, like some of the most successful clubs that I've seen that like, and to me, successful doesn't mean how many members you have or how sweet your patch is. I'm talking successful. I'm talking about can you get along?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I know you guys got a bunch of sloppy dirt out there? You know, that type of shit.
Right. Right.
Can you get along with other clubs? To me, that's success. Are you doing something other than
Riding the
getting on your bike and smoking blunts from one liquor store to the next liquor store? Because I don't have anything wrong with that either.
No.
But I think that our club needs to do more than that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we consistently try to, you know, our work with the Greenways Coalition, our work with multiple different rides that, you know,
That request us.
that
our
request
assistance.
us, our assistance. I mean, those of us that have rides in this room, our own rides,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, you have a very successful ride.
Yep.
Shout out to Palmer Park.
Palmer
to the people.
Palmer to the people.
Yes, sir.
You know, Fat Kid.
Fat Kid Ride has
Kid.
evolved into now 2 couples that run the ride, basically.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you got Team Mel Bob and then you got Team Boo Boo, me and who is also a member of Bikes and Murder.
Oh, yeah.
And she was God. She was on the radio. She told everybody.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yep.
when it came time for me to realize that I was needed more in the street than I was anywhere towards the front of the ride and answering on the phone, that I was better taking what I call the react team that just went from the problems. Wherever there was a problem.
Situation to situation.
Right.
You know, there were teams that had their spots they had to go to. My team was just moving, putting out fires. Big Mike, I need this. Big Mike, I need that.
Right.
So that's when she took over the radio because they were like, you know, the guys came to me and said, who are you going to put on the radio? And I'm like, well, I don't trust anybody more than
Oh, yeah.
my old lady.
You better not.
She knows how I would do it, blah, blah, blah. And that's how it was. And I mean, now you've brought your wife on and or significant other
yeah.
on. And,
So yeah, it takes a lot more than just riding a bike.
yeah, and getting a
Yes.
patch, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a lot more.
And
than
just
that.
hanging out. You know what I
And-
mean? It's not just 40 time.
You know, don't put it on your. There's a patch out there now that say don't put it on your back if you ain't got it in your heart, and that shit's for real.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
this
it's on
shit's
the
for life.
skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, it ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, it depends on the attitude because there's some clubs that just want to be social, and that's perfect. But
Cool.
we feel that we want to give back and help others because we've been helped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what the city's meant to us personally.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we've already been over this. We have it in our conversations, our private conversations all the
yeah.
time about like we owe.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I owe this city in a way that I might not live long enough to pay it back, but I'm certainly going to try.
Certainly.
You know what I mean? We all give back to our city in different ways.
Because some of the things we do wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the help of the city at some point. You know,
Yeah.
And
so I feel
the
like
people that came from it.
Yes,
And,
yes,
and when
yes.
and when we say city, we ain't talking about
Streets.
we ain't talking about the government.
Yeah, no.
No, we
yes.
talking about the Detroit, the streets.
Yes, all of it. Yes, yes.
We are
yes.
definitely not talking about the government. I mean, the municipality, the jurisdiction. We're talking
about the soul,
the flavor,
Yes.
the flavor of
the
Detroit.
soul
yeah.
of Detroit.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, real quick, let's just, if you can, give us a little update on what's going on now with Bikes and Murder. I do know. Go right ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. We got the next thing up is the Alley Cat, Flower Day Alley Cat, third annual.
Third annual.
We'll be having it at Checker Bar on May 19th.
May 19th. Yep.
Registration is at noon. Start off is 1-ish, and
Two classes.
Yeah, 2 classes. We've got tryhards, which, I mean, that says it all. If you ready?
Bring your Lycra.
Right. You ain't even got Lycra. You better be ready to. You better be ready to pedal.
Right.
Yes.
They're going to
You
be some
better know
goers.
your routes.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
better be ready to
Know
pedal.
the city. Yeah.
We gonna have a guy in there, probably for sure. He been at all the rest. He went to the world's messenger carrier race, and placed. He went home with some hardware.
There's some speedy talent out there.
Oh, yeah.
And we
Speedy
if
talent.
you're hearing this, man, come down. If you think you can
get on
get
your
a
bike.
rank.
You got to win the money. I mean,
Winner takes
And real
all.
quick,
Winner
give
takes
them a
all.
quick,
Oh,
if they don't know what an alley cat is,
Oh,
for those
alley
who may
cat-
not know.
it's real simple. It's a scavenger hunt, basically, on a bicycle.
There you go, folks.
Like, we're going to give you a list of so many things that you either got to go find, see, take a picture of, whatever. You get the directions. You go, you find your quickest route to get it done, get back.
First one back gets a
First
stack.
one back gets the
Has anyone died during this?
here.
No.
And alley, no, people
Never in Detroit.
No.
Yeah, but people go down during
I'm
alley
just
cats.
joking. I'm just
Yeah, no.
Oh, I was like, I never in Detroit.
We got a waiver for that, so we're good.
It's very clear.
It's very clear. It's
You're
one
responsible
line.
for a motherfucking thing.
And then we have.
And then we have the open class,
class,
which is for anybody else. Like, you ride, the city, you like to ride, but you ain't about to get out there in that traffic. You ain't really about that life.
Right.
But that's cool because not everybody is. And the older I get, the slower I get. Less about that life I get. The more skin you leave on the street,
Oh, yeah.
every time it slows you down a little bit. It does me. I don't know.
No, for sure.
It didn't used to.
Right.
No, you would pop back up like I meant to do that.
47 years old, man. The skin. No.
Can I say my only time I've ever been hurt, I've broken my collarbone riding my bike.
Yeah.
So
Trying to be sweet.
Want,
I bet.
Out there trying to be
First
sweet.
rule.
Yeah, trying to be.
I was trying to be sweet. I saw this little hill, but it actually went down instead of up, and that went down and
Didn't get up.
Yep. And guess what? I went right over.
Yeah, the
and
end up.
it was like tackling the earth.
Earth won
Earth always wins, baby.
every time.
That gravity,
time.
that gravity and earth.
And I got to plate my collarbone. So
Nice.
Awesome. Come join
But guess
us.
what?
Right, yeah.
Come join us in the
I know.
cruiser class.
You know what? Like, it took me like a month, and I was like, I'm never gonna ride my bike again.
You're getting back out
later.
there.
Yeah, you back out
That's
there.
what's
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
You can't help it.
May 19th, come
It's
holler
pretty
at
awesome.
us.
Yeah.
Get out there.
Biking's awesome.
Yeah. So, we have the Alley Cat May 19th, and we were offered another opportunity for the Greenways as well.
Yep. We'll be taking those guys around. Todd
Todd.
Scott,
Scott,
and Al. ask us to be a part of that again, which is really cool. Last year we took about 70 riders all around the city and the Greenways. I don't know if you guys have spoke on the Greenways.
We briefly talked about the Joe Louis Greenway when Todd was with us. Yeah. So yeah, we were the premier club to escort, and we've been asked again. So
I mean, it's really cool, and it's like such an honor to hear what they talk about with all y'all, and you know, on a regular basis. Todd Scott will say, you know, nobody can run an organized group ride like you guys, and that, you know, that's a hell of an honor to hear.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because we're as diverse as we are, and you know, sometimes we just, you know, get a little happy with ourselves,
a little rough around the edges for sure.
Right, but when it's time, when it's go time, we Voltron with the best of them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for the update and for the history, Mike. We really appreciate you coming in. Before we let you go, though, with all of our guests, we do have these 5 questions that we are now calling the hot seat.
All right.
Because, you know, people like to discuss. We don't want to cut people off and, you know, make them rap it of any sort. So we're going to call it the hot seat at this point. So we get 5 questions for all of our guests, and we just want to know a little bit more about you. The first question is, describe your first bike.
The first real bike I had, I was like 6, 7 years old. I got the Smokey and the Bandit edition Huffy.
Ooh.
It had the fenders on that joint.
Mm-hmm.
It was all black and gold. Had the big old fire chicken on it. Man, that shit was sweet.
Yeah, it had the decal right on the fender.
Yeah, it had plastic fenders. Looked like an old Trans Am.
Yep.
My dad took a coax off of something and put it on there, so I had an antenna on it. It got stolen by the kelpers down the street.
Not the kelpers.
That's a whole nother story.
Not the kelpers, man. It's always.
I mean, it's been 7 years. We could talk about it. We ain't gonna.
All right. So, out of all the riding you've done, describe your absolute favorite ride. It could be a location. It could be an event. It could be you solo.
Man, when slow rolls were going, and sometimes I come back in, slide back in the front. I look over, and there would be all y'all or whoever out of y'all and my kid and my wife and Mike, and it don't get no better than
good
that.
feelings right there.
Yeah. That's what's up.
That, and I mean, we had some good times in DC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. yes, we did.
I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to play one on the podcast right now and say we're
going to plead the fifth.
Go to that third question.
Yeah, we might want to just move on.
All right, so we think you touched on what got you back into riding. You want to elaborate just a little bit more about that?
Health problems, man, seizures and whatnot. I couldn't drive, and I was tired of walking.
Yeah. Hopped on those 2
Heel
wheels.
Toe Express was getting tired.
Oh yeah.
My homie let me ride a bike. That was it.
Nice. What would you say your favorite Detroit flavor would be? Could be anything. Okay.
The music. The swag.
The swag.
The swag in the music and the hip hop culture in Detroit.
Oh yes,
Our
sir.
swag.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Our swag.
It is.
We
Like
got
no
swag.
other.
We got swag that ain't nobody else.
Nobody
got.
else.
Everybody else trying to do
Trying
it.
to figure it out.
They've been trying since Dilla started dropping beats.
Yeah.
They've been trying to be us.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else is like it.
Yeah, that playing catch up is not going to get you there.
No.
Nope. We'd be moving on to something else after that.
Right.
For real.
It's just going to get you mustard.
Right with the
All right, last question, Big Mike. What would you say your one wish for Detroit would be?
One wish for Detroit. Equality.
Man, okay. Enough right there.
Right. Just let that marinate.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that one's the one,
It
right?
is.
Like,
It is.
yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Mike, I'd like to thank you for being on the show, man. Real excited.
Yeah.
You
For
know,
sure. Thank you.
it's been exciting. We got
It is.
a chance to explore the bike life. You know,
Even more.
that's a big part of
It is.
Yes, it is.
cycling in the city right now.
Yep.
I mean, it's helped to expand ridership in the city.
I believe so, for
Absolutely,
sure.
you know.
It's definitely got people out and with each other.
Right, and they feel comfortable. You know,
Yeah.
everybody finds their own level, and as long as they're pedaling two wheels in the city and enjoying it,
That's what it's about.
and not doing any destructiveness,
Right.
Yeah, we're good.
Get on two wheels.
Get on two wheels.
Again, Big Mike, thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining
brother.
us. And all right, so for this week's three things, Bobby, you want to take that over?
Yeah. This week we're gonna have our favorite bike accessory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So for me, it's Mike touched on it. It's the music. I like having some music with me. It's gonna be speaker and not a whole DJ equipment hanging off the side of your bike. If you want that, that's cool, but that's a lot of weight to be pushing around the city.
Right.
But they do make, small little Bluetooth hookups just to add a little bit of,
little
little
flavor.
something to it,
Little attitude.
Yeah. So, find your nice little Bluetooth speaker.
But not the earbuds.
No earbuds. That's very unsafe.
That's
no,
real
no,
unsafe.
no.
Let's just clarify
You get
that.
your little Bluetooth, you can still hear what's going on around you.
Keep it respectable.
I mean, you could order a Boombotics Bikes and Players.
That is
Yes.
true. That is
Right.
true. We do
They
have
are
those.
right.
on
You
that.
could order one of those on Boombotics.com. I'm just saying. I am just saying.
right.
Yeah, but that's mine. Bring a little something, a little extra flavor to the ride with you. Bruno?
The one I picked is I think is just simple and necessary. It's like water, air. You need a lock.
Yeah,
you got to be
for
able to
sure.
lace up your bike, and I'm not talking about that little cable joint with the 3 digits.
Yeah,
I'm talking
no,
about
no.
an actual something, like a substantial lock. It's going to weigh a little bit, but you know what? Your bike's going to be there when you come out.
That's right.
For the most part, and if you want a good lock, they're out there. Kryptonite makes one.
Yeah, U-locks.
The U-lock and the heavy duty chains, man. They make that New Yorker joint. That's
I
nice.
guarantee if you come to the Alley Cat, there'll be some kryptonites gave away.
Oh, yeah. Y'all heard it first.
Okay, right, yeah.
Heard it first.
100% guarantee that.
May 19th.
Hey, what you picking, Henry?
Well, I kind of got on the scene with my lights.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm throwing out lights there, and I think it's twofold. It's to see and it's to be seen. So, lights is one of my favorite go-tos when I have a build.
Yeah, that's nice. Mike, you got a favorite accessory?
A bag, man.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, you got to carry. You got to carry
Have a
everything.
bag. It's gotta be comfortable. People just think that they can use any joint that they want.
No.
And next thing you know, you're out there messing with your bag. I mean, me personally, I like a Timbuktu messenger bag or a hip bag.
Yep. Easy access, durable, comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you want. Cool. That's our three things.
3 things for this week. Y'all also know where to find us. Detroit ByCycle, ByCycle on all the things. The Twitters, Instagrams, websites, all that.
Bikes and Murder can be found on those as well.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. We'll
Yeah,
throw
look
links
us
up
up.
there, yep, and all social media too. Once again, this is Detroit ByCycle. We are all about the love, benefits, art, culture, food, and the people we meet on these Detroit streets and abroad. Thank you for listening. Tune in next week.